I know I've been on a Divorce Diaries rant for quite a while now, but I just want to take a break to just remind you about this podcast and how I record it. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast everywhere. Seriously. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm to get started, or download the Anchor app.
You are now listening to the Divorce Diaries podcast with your host. Well, that's a secret. No names, ages, or any other identifying characteristics will be used as we protect the young and innocent. You'll be taken on a journey as one man considers getting a divorce or remaining married. The Divorce Diaries daily entries chronicle the decision-making processes in real time as they unfold day by day. He hopes to add a bit of clarity to his sometimes muddled mess of a marriage. Cheating, overspending, sex, sadness, and betrayal are the characteristics of this marriage. Is he making the right choice? Welcome to the Divorce Diaries. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link below in description. Now for today's episode.
I'm not saying that I necessarily need to strive for perfection, but I am fully acknowledging that how people in general work is you'll never be better than the mistakes that you've made. It's unlikely that anyone will be able to look past the mistakes that you've made after you make them. I made huge mistakes, and I've done a lot of good for my family also. But I will say, what my family is remembering about me as a husband and as a father is the things that I didn't do well, the hurt and pain that I've caused, the headaches that I gave them. And it's weird, that saying, first impressions are everything. I maybe want to add something to that where it's mistakes are everything. And you can build yourself a very bad reputation on one or two really not great things, and it will overshadow the other 8 or 12 good things that you do for your family. And right now, because have been a shitty husband, I say that a lot, especially in this rebooted Divorce Diaries podcast. I say a lot about how I am a shitty husband, and that's true. And how I've been a shitty father, that is also true. I also have been a good husband. It's hard for me to say that now because even I'm thinking right now about the bad things that I've done, and even in my mind, to me, those things that I've done erase the good. And I don't know, I really do feel that that's a fair way to look at it. We are a very what have you done for me lately species. What just happened recently species. We hold on to things species. We hold grudges even if we think or say we don't species. And it makes it hard to find that retribution or forgiveness that we might actually seek from people, where people can authentically let us, quote unquote, back into their lives. It's really hard. And I did a really not good thing. I've reacted very, very poorly in an altercation with my wife. Like even if she were to tell it, even calling it an altercation, those aren't the words that she would use. I'm being fair though. It's how I typically am. I mean, it was an altercation, and the communication between us grew or ended in a very specific fashion. If you understand how women typically communicate, Women typically communicate one way when there's conflict, and men typically communicate in another way. That's about as far as I'll go with that, because that's just as far as I'll go with that. It wasn't good. It did not end well. And that will likely be something I will never come back from. I'm going to be honest. I'm not saying that I want to or I don't want to come back from that and be looked at in her good graces. Because what everything boils down to for me is maybe just the resentment that I had and the triggers that were there. So let's take it away from me for a second, because I want to make this a more generic example that's more easily understood for most people. Let's say you are allergic to peanuts, but you have a very mild peanut allergy. Very mild. Mild meaning if you eat something with peanuts in it, you may not notice. If you eat a significant amount of items with peanuts in them, you will notice in the form of maybe, like, I don't know, let's just say a little bit of throat scratchiness that clears itself up after you have some water within a couple of hours. So you don't really walk around with an EpiPen or anything like that. You just know that you have a peanut allergy, and you yourself don't even call it an allergy. You call it more of a sensitivity. But eating peanuts is sort of a trigger for you, and it sort of triggers your body into this response that might give your throat some scratchiness. Now, there are times where you might, and going to, let's say, I kind of want to use P.F. Chang's as an example because I feel that the food is pretty tasty there. But let's do Panera Bread as an example. Panera Bread has very clearly articulated ingredients on their nutrition fact sheet, and you can tell if there's nuts in stuff, especially peanuts. But let's say you go to a buffet like Golden Corral. You could eat at Panera Bread over and over and over again, and it's usually not going to trigger you. Every now and then you may have gotten that Thai salad dressing at Panera Bread that may have peanuts in it, and you feel a little bit of a niggle in your throat, and you say, oh, okay, I just don't eat too much of that. I only use one salad dressing versus two, whatever. You manage the sensitivity or the peanut allergy you have. But if you go to Golden Corral and you eat to your heart's content, and they deep fry things in peanut oil, most of their things. There's peanut in their bread pudding. There's peanuts in their salad dressings. There's peanuts everywhere. There's peanuts in their ice cream. They put the peanuts next to the Oreos for the toppings for the ice cream and sundaes. Peanuts are everywhere. So if you eat a lot and continue to eat a lot at Golden Corral, you're likely going to find yourself reaching the edge of your tolerance for peanuts, or you have gone over your edge of tolerance and your throat ultimately closes up and you do have a shortness of breath, and you find yourself thinking, oh my gosh, I really should walk around with an EpiPen. That allergic reaction was horrible and the ambulance was called. When you spend, which I feel that I have, I'm going to work through it with my therapist, and I'm going to really try to find out where I'm really tripped up and see if my perspective is just all in all fucked, because that wouldn't be the first time that I'm just looking at something the wrong way, where I think I'm looking at it as, oh, this is great. This is the perfect perspective. I've evaluated everything fully and clearly, when in fact I haven't looked at anything the right way. I'm looking at it totally opposite or backwards or whatever the hell. So I'm going to work with my therapist to make sure that I'm perspecting things the right way. But I personally feel like we all have triggers that trigger our allergic reaction, trigger our sensitivities. And if we spend too much time there will ultimately be a full-on allergic reaction, and you will see how your body responds when immersed in something that maybe shouldn't be around you or in your lexicon. And that's what I think might have happened with my wife. I think that everything, not everything, but I think that sometimes a lot of the things that she does, and how she is and how I am. I'm not trying to put the blame on her. I'm kind of trying to articulate sort of an incompatibility that will lead to sensitivities that might lead to someone having an allergic reaction to peanuts. For my wife, I mean, she might be good for someone else. She may not offend. She may not, and I may not rub her the wrong way. It's like we may just be these really sensitive things that cause allergic reactions, cause reactions with each other. And for my wife, how she's concerned, here's an example. I'm one of those people that really is front loaded on their day. So I'll just run down my early day regimen. I'm up somewhere about between 5 and 6 a.m. I do some yoga. I immediately hit the gym. I try to get like a little bit of a pre-workout meal in now. And then I have my caffeine pre-workout. I do yoga. I go to the gym. I come back. I eat again, and I do a post workout protein. And then I'm in a mad dash getting showered and getting ready for work. And then I go to work, and I sort of finally have minutes to respond or engage in anything social, probably. And the whole time I'm kind of listening to podcasts. I just have my headphones in. I'm just listening to podcasts the entire time. I sort of cue them up while I'm laying in the bed trying to wake up. And then once I have my 4 hours loaded up, I just put the headphones in and boom, I just blast off. And then I listen to the podcast on the way to work. And that's when I'm sort of mentally coming down from my physical mad dash in the AM. So during that time, though, my wife, she would get up and she would, start her day. But her day started a little bit more, which I'm jealous of. Actually, it starts in much more of a relaxed way. She sort of gets up, she kind of plays games on her phone and sort of slowly comes out of her slumber to being awake. And then she takes her time and she makes herself her breakfast beverage or her breakfast. And then she gets ready and she takes her time and then she gets to work. And then, and she has a lot of time on her hands, and she has more time. She's choosing to have more time on her hands in the morning, and she has her phone in her hand, and she communicates with me. There used to be more phone calls, but most of the time they're like sort of in the form of chats and texts. When I'm lifting up and putting down weights and I'm running around the gym and I'm stretching during yoga or whatever I'm doing, it's a little bit difficult for me a lot of the time to respond to my wife. And sometimes she'll say things like, she'll call me. And she'll call me in the middle of the mad dash that I have in the mornings, and she'll kind of say something like, "Did you not see my stuff?" It's just did you not see? Well, and I may have seen, but it's like it may come up on my watch, and I just kind of glance, and I'm like, and I just say I'll get to this later, or sometimes I may even respond, but it'll be like sort of a brief response because I'm not really able to engage. Now, if someone was going to be a blamer and point the finger, you could say, "Hey, for me, just set aside 5 minutes, text your wife. It's fine." If you want to place the blame on her, you're like, "Hey, leave him alone. This is his little bit of therapy. This is his disconnection. This is his escapism. This is what he needs for his morning. Leave him alone." You could say either one of those things. Both could be right. Both could be wrong. But someone's going to be triggered. And in her defense, me not responding, or even when I do respond, because I would respond once I finally get to work and get settled, I'd respond with a slew of texts and lots of information and context and everything, and address every little thing that she sent. But there were times where I'd say, "Hey, because she might get to me first, and she may say, 'Didn't you see my text? You didn't respond.' Well, I didn't respond because and so she's sort of triggered by me and my non-responses. I'm triggered by her in that, not that she reached out, even though that does bother me, because she might forget things or whatever. So please send me the texts and chats. It's fine. But when I met with the "didn't you see it?" that sort of insinuates to me that I did something wrong. And that's a trigger for me, feeling like I did something wrong when I'm just living my life at a certain cadence, a certain way that I prefer to live it. When someone says something to me like, didn't you see it, in an accusatory fashion, like I purposefully went out of my way to ignore them, when they know that I have this routine and regimen, hey, just look at this as a time block for me. I am not able to respond. Call me if there's an emergency. Of course, I will drop whatever I'm doing and I will do that. But if you are just going to tell me the news of the day, or you're going to forward me an article, or you're going to just say, hey, good morning, how's your day? Those things are great. And looking back now, like, I should not have been responding sometimes in like defense or letting those texts go by. I should have done a lot more of stopping and smelling the roses and just like, hey, I'll stop in between this set and I'll respond. I don't have to rush through my day. But at the same time, I am front loading my day because my whole family is sleeping. So I'm taking this opportunity to bust my own ass and lift weights and run and do all this stuff in the early morning so that I don't have to, so I can feel better later in the day. I'm just one of those people. And my wife, and just with that one example, she's not a trigger everywhere, but with that made my workout more stressful, because I didn't ever feel like I was able to just have my workout in peace. I was going to work out and I had the pressure of stopping, even if I was trying to do something cool and I'm going to go on 15-second rests between sets. That's what I'm doing, 15-second rests. But, oh no, if I don't respond to my wife, she's going to be mad and I'm going to have to say sorry later or whatever. I must respond now to avoid pain later. So I was triggered. And then I feel pressure. I have a worse workout, or I'm tense during my workout, or I don't feel like I can just I don't feel comfortable or free. At least for this hour. I'm not asking to be free all the time. It's just this is my thing. This is what I do. Can I just do it? So when you're immersed in a situation with someone that, let's say, they constantly do that thing, like she likely wants to be with a person that drops everything for her no matter what and when. I believe fully that if you were to say that to her, of course not, I do not want you to drop everything, then I'll say, well, then what do you want? When you text me, are you okay with me getting back to you later? Well, sometimes. Oh, how am I supposed to know when those sometimes are? Well, just look at my text. If you just look at my text, you'll see if you need to respond now or if you can wait. Okay, so how will I know? How about this? If you really need me, you call me and I'll have my headphones in. I'll always answer your call. But if it can wait, just send it to me in text. Well, I may still want you to know something of great importance when I send you a text. So just maybe look at the texts. Oh, okay, fine. I'll just look at every text you send then. Fine, I won't send you any texts. That might be what happens. Now, I'm not mad at how she responded. All I'm just trying to say is that's how she could respond, and that would be triggering for me. Because I just tried to be what I find compromising. Could you call me when it's definitely going to be something important that I got to get to right then? But otherwise, can you just be patient on my responses to your texts? And your response is, well, no, that's not good enough. I just want you to read what I send when I send it. And sometimes that saturation and frequency, because I go to the gym almost every day, and like in my example with the peanut allergy, if you just eat so much, and you have a peanut sensitivity, but you don't eat a lot. But if you eat so much, so frequently, you might find out that you are actually allergic to this amount of peanuts, or this type of peanut, or whatever. You're just allergic to this amount. It's just too much. And when you're in a relationship, I think, and you aren't evaluating, if the thing that the person does is just how they're wired, my wife just wants to communicate because she's up and she is, she has idle hands in the sense that she's just kind of on her phone, doing things on her phone. So it's a very easy leap for her to just send me a text or forward an article or whatever. That's great. And I feel good knowing that she's sort of thinking about me and sharing those things. But then that's a double-edged sword, because I don't feel great that she's expecting me to respond when she knows that I'm doing something that is therapeutic and freeing for me. It feels rather selfish on her part, but I also feel selfish on my part because I'm not responding to her, because I feel like I'm putting my workout before her. And I don't want to ever put a workout or anything before my wife. And it's not consistent, because what if she goes to sleep late and she wakes up late? The only reason I'm not getting texts is because I'm at the gym working out and she's sleeping. But if she was awake, then I'd get them. So it's almost like now I might try to structure my life in a way that maybe if I just get up earlier and I can get to the gym earlier, I can get my workout done earlier, so that when she wants to text me, I'm done and I can send it. But then I feel like, well, why should I have to do that? And she might feel like, why do I have to wait for responses? Why do I have to wait? Are the waits more important than me? Is the run more important than I am? She always feels like other things are more important to me than she is. When that's not the case, I may just want this little bit of a bookend bit of time for myself. So a lot of times, and a lot of this stuff can be probably eliminated and avoided if we just take time to figure out, what are our peanut sensitivities? Do we have an allergy? Is there something we can communicate? Was there something I could have communicated with my wife just to erect some better boundaries on communication? Or just cut to the chase and get to the fact that, no, she does want this, and that life isn't something that I want. That type of like daily brushing up against my sensitivity or my trigger is going to eventually tax me to the point where I erupt, or I say I don't want to, or I just, like, for a while, I just maybe tried to stop looking at the text, and I knew that it would it would grow to be something negative all the time. I could look over the history of my text messages and everything now, and most of them are just so negative. Where are you? What are you doing? I don't like that I saw this. It's just, there's so much non-peace in my life, and that's okay because I've brought some of this on myself. But when let's just talk about Walmart versus Target. Take it away from marriage. Most people have been to both Walmart and Target. Most people have been. And most people know that there is a huge difference in Walmart and Target. Target is a little bit more high-end, a little more expensive, a little quote-unquote nicer. There are good things at Walmart. There are great things at Walmart. In fact, there are some of the same products at Walmart that are at Target. In fact, Walmart likely has a larger selection of certain things than Target does. You can get everything that you can get at Target at Walmart and then some. And Walmart is cheaper. Walmart has so many benefits. I love Walmart. I like Target a lot, but I really love Walmart because I'm one of those people where I just want to keep as much money as I can. I'm a cheapskate, and Walmart scratches that itch for me. So, man, oh man, I love me some Walmart. Now, we all understand, if you've been to Target and Walmart, that the type of people that shop at those places, by and large, are different. Even though people that shop at Walmart go to Target and people that shop at Target go to Walmart, the people that shop at Walmart are different. You may see the baby mama with the baby on the hip. You may see a lot more hair extensions and colors, exposed tattoos, booty shorts, stomachs hanging over the booty shorts. The type of person at Walmart is usually different than the type of person that is at Target. It just is. The type of person that goes to Target probably also goes to Starbucks. Yes, I'm stereotyping. And the type of person that goes to Walmart may not even drink coffee. They might, but they might not. And especially it's not going to be some sort of gourmet high-end $4.50 coffee. It's just different. It's just different. And for me, for a while, Target felt pretentious, and it triggered me. I didn't really care to go to Target. I would, even though I really didn't have any gripes. I'm like, I like Target, but I don't know what it is. It just felt pretentious. And it was probably the money. It was probably the fact that I was spending more when I was there. At Walmart, it felt ghetto. It felt hood. But I went there because I'm like, yeah, I could just get through it. It's not that bad. That's what I would say. It's not that bad because I'm saving all this money. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Now, but Walmart, it triggered me too sometimes. I mean, I'd have people walking up the aisle next to me talking on their speakerphone, doing FaceTime. Oh, girl, this, and I know, and I told him, and she better not, and I would have cut her. Oh my goodness, there's so many things that are happening at Walmart. So much spirit in those individuals. And, you know, sometimes Walmart will be a little triggering. I couldn't go to Golden Corral anymore. I mean, I kind of like the food, some of it, but I would go and I would eat a moderate portion. When I was younger, I used to go to Golden Corral and I would eat until my sides split. Now I go to Golden Corral and I look around at the people and I'm sort of disgusted because it's the worst part of America. It's the worst part of humanity. It's gluttony on full display, and I don't want to be around that. So I'd rather go to P.F. Chang's and pay $22 for some food that I like and leave a smidge hungry, than go to Golden Corral and pay $12.50 and be able to eat until I'm damn near dead. It's the nature of it. So we all have our triggers, and, you know, being married, I'm triggered a lot by the things that my wife does, and it's hard being in these situations when you're triggered because it's very hard. It's very hard because you kind of just move through life in this frustrated way. It's just frustrated. Yeah. And that frustration can sometimes build and build and build. And you can then you flip. You lose your shit. One time, one argument is had, one bad thing is said, a response is given, and then all of a sudden there's this volcanic eruption in your relationship. Because, honestly speaking, the two of you are just triggers to each other. You're just triggers. And you fire on each other. I hate the eruption that we had. I hate how I responded. But beneath that, I'm not sure. My wife she's a trigger of mine, and I think I'm a trigger of hers, and I think we just triggered each other. And it's just too much. I mean, we'll see how things go, I guess, as we're separated and time goes by. I don't know what's going to happen with us. I'm going to just work diligently through these things and getting to know myself with my therapist and just figure out what the hell is wrong with me, because I'm not concerning myself so much with everyone else anymore. I just need to figure out myself. I have enough baggage to unpack. It's probably going to take me the rest of my life. I shouldn't be spending any cycles trying to quote unquote fix anyone else, because who the hell am I? I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy that's fucked up, got a lot of damage control to do, that has a lot of baggage that I haven't unpacked. And all that's made me be the most fucked up version of a husband and father that I could have been.
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.